I would like to jump in again and talk about some of the process as well. So we've all agreed today that the guidance is non-legally binding, and yet with the, I'm going to go back to my folks in Iowa, the retail exemption memorandum that came out on the 22nd of July, it is requiring these retailers who were now reclassified to follow this, this regulatory process through reclassification. And OSHA has estimated that the cost of compliance for each of the retailers would be $2,100 per site to come into compliance. But those retailers, those on the ground where the rubber meets the road, they've actually calculated it could cost up to $25,000 per retailer. And again, that is significant cost. You know, if you look at the retailers and the areas that they cover in Iowa, that's a big cost. That's a really big cost. So, you know, in light of that, is it possible to go back and have OSHA go through the proper rulemaking process so that it is enforceable? If we're truly trying to correct a problem, then why don't we go through the rulemaking process and make sure that we understand what it takes to go into compliance, open that up for public comment and review? Is that something that OSHA would be willing to do?
So I think in this case, we were really clear that we were following the APA and the OMB bulletin in the course that we pursued on this guidance, and that the RFI and the long public comment period was designed specifically to get that feedback. We are always, though, Senator, always open door and want to continue to be in dialogue with folks about this. And in fact, it's partly why OSHA has a delayed enforcement policy around this, to give people more time to come into compliance and to give additional compliance assistance.
Okay, 6 months for compliance to bring these ag retailers. And again, this is a manufacturing rule that is now extended to retailers where there is absolutely no manufacturing process. They are not mixing chemicals, they are distributors. And so I think whoever went ahead with this guidance maybe doesn't fully understand what these ag retailers do. So I am encouraging OSHA to open this up to formal rulemaking. And it sounds like you said extended periods of time. There was a lengthy comment process. It sounds like you're trying to get around rulemaking. It's a rulemaking process without the full enforcement of rulemaking. So again, a way to circumvent actually reaching out to the American public and extending an invitation to everyone to comment on these practices and the cost to them in doing business. If my original point was, if you're doing that, why not formal rulemaking where everyone can engage in an open dialogue and process and ensure that their comments are being heard? I think that seems very common sense.
Thank you for your question, Senator. And I will just say this: we would never be circumventing the formal rulemaking process. It wouldn't be appropriate and we wouldn't do it, but we're totally committed to working with you and following up with you on this issue.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Senator, I was going to make a comment on that as well. That some of the